Here's a troubling thought. While President Museveni accuses the United States of trying to import social imperialism into Uganda by defending homosexual rights, who do you think is behind some of the anti-gay hysteria in Uganda right now? A group of evangelical Christians from that very same hotbed of social imperialism, the United States of America. My next guest, Roger Ross Williams, belonged to the organization called International House of Prayer in Missouri, whose missionary zeal fell on gays in Uganda. He decided to make a film about what he learned, and he called it God Loves Uganda. It ended up being a terrifying look at incitement to hatred.
We have to fight sodomy in Uganda. They say they are ready to fight those who are ready to kill, those who are doing homosexual. Hands up!
The whole world has got its eyes on Uganda because of what has happened to David Kato. David's death is a result of the hatred planted in Uganda by U.S. evangelicals.
So he was referring to a prominent gay activist who was killed a long while ago there in Uganda. That was powerful stuff, and the director, Roger Ross Williams, joins me from Albany right now. Welcome. Thank you for coming on the program today. Tell me how you came to make this film and how you discovered what you have done.
Yes, yeah. Well, I was, my last film took place in Zimbabwe, and I noticed the hold of sort of type of evangelical Christianity on the continent, on sub-Saharan Africa. So I started reading about Uganda and what was going on there, and I just did a research trip, went there, met David Kato, who's the activist in my film who was brutally murdered, and he said the story that hadn't been told is the story of the sort of damage that fundamentalist evangelicals from America were doing in his country. So that sort of started me on my journey.
What did you know about the International House of Prayer? How did you see that sort of build there?
You know, well, I started when I heard about Lou Engle from the International House of Prayer in Kansas City going to Uganda. And, you know, sort of when all these sort of American evangelicals were running away from Uganda for PR reasons, he went to Uganda and threw a huge prayer rally called The Call, which that led me to Kansas City. And I sort of started following members from the International House of Prayer, and I followed a group of them to Uganda.
And I know it's all in your film, but for those of us or people who haven't seen the whole film, describe how it worked. How did they sort of gen up this anti-gay hysteria? How did an evangelical from the United States get to spend hours talking to Parliament in Uganda?
Well, someone who is very extreme, like Scott Lively, who is an extremist in America, but when he goes to Uganda, he gets taken seriously because of what he represents. He's an American evangelical, and what America represents in a place like Uganda represents power and wealth. And so he goes to Uganda, and he can command the president, he can command the parliament for 5 hours. He did a 3-day conference where he told everyone about the threat of homosexuality, that they were there to recruit their children. And that's what really sort of started this whole bill on where it is now today, this sort of tragic day. You know, and Scott Lively's being sued in American federal court by Ugandan activists for what he's done there. A judge just ruled that he has to stand trial.
Now, in your film, you also talk to very sympathetic Ugandans, members of the Anglican Church there, who try to tell their flock that no, this anti-gay hysteria is not Christian. Do they have any chance of getting that message across?
Yes. You know, Bishop Christopher Nyanjo is an Anglican bishop who sort of went against the grain in Uganda. You have a bunch of pastors there who call themselves anti-gay activists, who show, like Martin Sempa, who shows gay porn in church, who it just sort of firing up people as gay people have become this sort of scapegoat in Uganda to distract from what the real problems are going on there, which is corruption. So you have Bishop Christopher Sinyanja, who is one of the only faith leaders who stood up and said, you know, this is human sexuality, and for that he actually lost his right in the Anglican Church. He was excommunicated. He lost his pension, and here is a really noble man, and he won the Clinton Award last year. But this is an amazing man who was on the front page of a newspaper called The Rolling Stone with David Kato, the murdered activist, with his picture next to David Kato's with the title Kill Them.
You know what? Your film is incredibly interesting and amazingly timely. Roger Ross Williams, thank you so much indeed for joining me today.
Thank you.